News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. The Mavs playing the Celtics right now. And, the Mavs have been in the lead on and off but so far. But here's the thing. I think they're going to get their butts handed to them, and I think they're going to lose. You have people saying that... and by the way, I always caveat this with I'm not a sports guy. I don't follow sports, deeply, etc. So I'm not playing some kind of a game in that regard, but I'll just tell you my thoughts. You do not lose the first three games and then suddenly win the next four. And the only thing holding back Boston after a full sweep so far, a complete sweep so far, it's not over until tonight if they win, but the only thing holding them back is the thought from some, including you, producer Garrett. You actually think they're going to withhold. He thinks as of yesterday, you think that Boston Celtics are going to withhold their win so on purpose so they can win it at home. You don't think so, or you do? No, neither do I. And people that say that and theorize that, I think that's absolutely obscene. Let me ask you a question, as Dwayne would say, a question. If you were the Celtics and you were whooping our buttocks 3 in a row as they have, would you somehow decide to allow the Mavericks to win just so you could have your final game in your hometown of Boston? Or would you finish it out? That's one of the questions I have. A couple more on this is, do you think the NBA Finals will be over after tonight's Mavs game with their loss? As I do. I unequivocally think they're going to lose. And number two, do you think it's still worth going to the game tonight? I know it's already begun and the first quarter's almost over, but do you think it's still worth going to the Mavs game tonight if it was a couple hours ago? Would you spend all that money for what probably is their last game of the season? And I was talking to the parking guys downstairs and about what's going on, how crazy it is, how many people are yelling at them today. I'm like, are you kidding me? These freaking morons. Leave them alone. It's not their fault. They got a job to do. They're overwhelmed. They're sweaty, all nasty, all hot. And then you got the super fans waiting out to get autographs and to cheer, right? So last night when I got off the air, it was probably, an hour or two after the game, I don't know, or 2 nights ago, I should say. And I was leaving and I see all these people out there and I walk by them and I go, please, no photographs, no autographs, please, please. And they all laughed. I can work a crowd even when they're not there for me. It worked my magic. Always working my magic on there. All right, so I want to hear from you right now at 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Do you actually think the NBA Finals are going to be over with after tonight's game, as I do, unequivocally, with their loss, the Mavs' loss? And do you think it's still worth going to the game tonight if you were able to go, an hour or two ago before the game started? Would you be willing to spend all that money for what probably is their last game and another loss? I mean, why would you pay all this money? Chime in right now, by the way, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. All this money to watch them lose again and be depressed and miserable, and then you got to sit in traffic for an hour outside, which I don't appreciate. I'll give you a little pull back the curtain a little bit. My interest is my parking, and I don't want to deal with this crap anymore. So, no offense to anybody, but let's wrap this season up and get out of here. I'll see you in October. So the parking guy's like, yeah, unless we, he's like, they might lose tonight, but he says we'll see you next time for what? They're coming back in a couple games. I said, yes, they're going to come back in October, is what I said. That's when they're coming back. What say you on that? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I'm going to be going over with all the different teams that have come back, how many times this happens, and how many times it never happens. I'll give you a hint. The never happens is way higher than the happens category. Trey in Duncanville, you're on 820 AM and now on FM at 93.3 WBAP. Hello.
Yes, several reasons why Boston will take the series. First of all, their defense is just phenomenal. ultimately defense wins championships. Secondly, Kyrie has let the crowd get in his head when he was up in Boston. That cost him. Mm-hmm. Thirdly, Luka he self-imploded in Game 3. And
a lot of people were mad at him, I was reading.
Yes, well, he fouled. He's had a bad habit of doing that when he's played in like Tokyo and Europe and South America.
Now, so those are those leagues he worked his way up in before the NBA?
Yes, that was when he was before he was in the NBA. He's had a history of self-imploding. There's an 86% chance that when a team leads 2-0, they're going to win the series. And then, as you were alluding to, when a team is up 3-0, it's 156-0 that the odds are in their favor. I mean,
wait a minute. You said 156-0.
Yes.
What is it? Do you know what it is? If it is 187, is it 100? If it goes to 187, is it 187-1?
No, I think Boston's record, if it goes to Game 5 and they win that, they'll be 81-20.
Okay, listen, I want to tell you something. What I heard from you is that there's a slight opening in that door to win tonight and to win this series, right? That's what I'm hearing from you. Right.
You have a better chance of winning the lottery.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
What?
You have a better chance of winning the lottery.
All right, okay.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
There's a chance. I'm excited.
I wouldn't bank on it if I were
you. Neither would I. Okay, and would you spend any money to go to the game tonight? The tickets are $400 to get into this poor man's show, this poor excuse for Game 4. What, sir?
No, I would not pay to go to a game. I don't really care to watch sports that much ever since the woke movement.
Yes, you don't want to go pledge your allegiance to the BLM, socialist, godless,
no, sir.
Families or Marxist ideology. Okay, all right,
no,
sir.
No, sir. Not a dime, not a penny.
All right, I appreciate your call, Trey.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
You too. All right. Do you think the NBA Finals are going to be over after tonight's Mavs game, as I do, with their loss? And then do you think it's still worth going to the game tonight and spending the tickets to get in now are $400? So everything dropped once they lost the third. Shocker. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. If you were Boston, would you, that's my other question, would you let Dallas win tonight so that you could turn around and finish the series in your home state, your hometown? I don't think so. You know why? Why would you give them a toehold? Why would you give them a win and then you go home? What if they decide to win again? What if they beat you again? If they beat you one time, they can beat you again. If they beat you two times, then what? Now you're a moron because you actually have a chance of losing the series because you let them win. There is no way in heck any team that's wise would allow them to win. We'll see how this plays out throughout the night. Here's the I got the stats. Has the NBA team ever come back from being down 3-0 from the finals? I'll tell you that. Also, what the tickets are going for, $400, and then what they're going up to. I bet you can get some cheap seats if you show up right now. You'll be spending more time in parking than you will in the game. Well, there's 3 quarters left, right? 3 quarters of misery. Okay. That's coming up next on the Chris Crock Show. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Then the European media, not the American media, not the conservative American media, but the European media ripping Joe Biden's mental and physical state after his appearance at the G7 and the many issues that people have been talking about with his mental and physical faculties. You're going to hear what the European media has said. In Italy and in several other countries in Europe, it's not good. There's your hint. All that's next. Chris Crock on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Do you think the NBA Finals are going to be over after tonight's Mavs game with their loss? Do you actually think the what do you call it? The Celtics are going to throw the game on purpose so they can finish it off in Boston. There's some thinking tonight as well that maybe the Mavs will pull it off because they screwed up the first three badly and they're going to go for the fourth and then lose. Who knows? But there's no way, in my humble opinion. And would you actually spend all that money for a ticket tonight? $400 to get in. It's because it's 3 in a row. Who wants to go see misery? $399 is the cheapest ticket for tonight's game, and then $694 is the most expensive in the nosebleed section. Mid-level, $1,200 to $1,800, and then premium lower bowl seats, $1,900 to $2,700. Oof. Okay, went down 3-0. No NBA, no team in the NBA playoff history has ever come back to win the series. So there's a 0.0 chance. We're almost there. We might win it. Let's see again. What are the chances? Here we go.
0.0.
Very close, guys. Yes. Very, very close.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yes. Only 4 teams have even forced a Game 7 after trailing 3-0. Only 4 teams, I guess, in the whole history of NBA. Wow. Those 4 teams in the 51 NBA Finals, 1994, and 2003 and 2023 with the Celtics and the Miami Heat. Well, there you are. Okay, the media, the European media, is not pretending that Joe Biden's fine. They're telling the truth. They are alarmed in their own words. I will share that with you now here on the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Let's start out with the Sun, in UK. He's given his worst ever performance at a major international summit, G7 insiders say, after he was bizarrely caught freezing again. One of their sources with the G7 says he's the worst he's ever been. And here's some more. He's been losing focus, quote unquote, during the gathering of world leaders in Italy, said some well-placed diplomatic sources to the Sun. Quote, it's the worst he's ever been seen. Other attendees from multiple delegations have described his performance as embarrassing. And let's see, we got a little bit more here too. We have one of the sources that is there at the G7 in some of these meetings. We got the Sun editor in Britain, of course. He ducked out for dinner last night talking about Biden, but my diplomatic sources here say that it's the worst they've ever seen Joe Biden, and he's in a bad way. He's in a bad way. He's losing focus in meetings. Sometimes he's very sharp. Sometimes he's very much not. So some worrying developments here. Are there, he says. And then last night there was an awkward moment with Biden where he was looking very doddery. He was wandering around, sort of wandered off, and Giorgia Meloni, Italian PM, had to sort of guide him back to the crowd. It was quite painful viewing. Everybody's putting a slight brave face on it this morning. We've got more for that for the paper tomorrow, but you can see from that footage yourself, can't you? This is getting embarrassing now. It makes you wonder what President Biden, if he's going to be able to run an election campaign in November and October for re-election, if that's a man who really thinks he's going to get through the next 4 years. Now, the Italians are no better. They're worse, almost. Here's one quotation from Italian paper. I believe they're quoting in Breitbart. They're quoting the Italian paper I have here in my hands. Breitbart says the headline reads, long pauses, eyes closed, weak voice, Biden and new doubts about health at the G7. That's the headline. I repeat, long pauses, eyes closed, weak voice, Biden and new doubts about the health at the G7. Now, also from the Italian paper, the president, an 81-year-old man subjected to exhausting rhythms between international commitments and election campaigning, not new to Americans. In a rare interview a Time magazine gave him last month, they talked about his stiff gait, his muffled voice, erratic syntax clashes with the intense, talkative appearance from when he was a senior senator and vice president. And continuing on, The video seems to it shows Biden trying to sit in a chair. That one was with D-Day, and it's not there during the anniversary of Normandy landings, but it also went viral, but it was partial footage, therefore it distorted, they say, according to AP, because it's not a complete one. But in other moments, the Italians say in this paper, just as the Juneteenth ceremony a few days ago at the White House, Biden smiles but is immobile and a little out of place while everyone around him is dancing. Yes. Which one of these is not like the other? It's like romper room here. You got a little bouncing ball. Meanwhile, here is Not a Dr. Jill. Oh, before I play Not a Dr. Jill, I got a few questions for you and want to give out the number. Chime in right now. My questions for you are, if the European media sees Joe having serious mental and physical conditions, impairments, if the European media sees it, why doesn't our media see it? Why do you think our media doesn't see it? And do Biden's critics about his mental and physical conditions have a legit concern, or do you think this is blown way out of proportion? I think our media sees it, they know it, and they hide it, and they pretend like the emperor has clothes when he doesn't, because they disdain Trump and they want Biden to win. That's it. So what do you say? Chime in right now at 800-288-WBAP. 800-288-9227 is our number. If the European media sees it, Joe's cognitive and mental decline, why doesn't our media see it? And do Biden's critics about his mental and physical conditions have a legit concern, or do you think this is being blown way out of proportion? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Here is Not a Dr. Jill, talking about how Joe is such a spry chicken and Trump, he's so bad she won't even name him.
This election is most certainly not about age. Joe and that other guy are essentially the same age. Let's not be fooled. Joe isn't one of the most effective presidents of our lives in spite of his age, but because of it.
Whoa! She polished that turn real well, didn't she? Woo! Woo! It's a shiny turd right there. Hot dang, she did it. She's got me convinced now. All right, thank you, Not a Dr. Jill. Since she's a physician, I'm sure she's administering continuing her, administering the 10th or 12th booster shot we all should be getting now, right? The third of the year. I don't know, but there she is. And look at this headline. I'll tell you about this headline coming up next from the Washington Post, who disdains Israel and loves the Hamas supporters. I'll tell you what their headline is about age with Trump and how they spin it to make Trump look bad and Biden look great. It's very funny. That is coming up next, and then a few other little funny headlines in this regard. But your line's wide open for you. Chime in right now. If the European media sees it, why doesn't our media see it? About Biden's health and physical and cognitive decline. And do Biden's critics about his mental and physical conditions have any legit concern, or is this being blown way out of proportion? 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Coming up next as well, this is going to be something else, man. Have you ever been scammed? Or your parents? Man, I got these people trying to go after me now. And I had to double check, triple check stuff. It's pretty crazy how good they can be. And one woman here, unfortunately, was super scammed, an elderly woman. And a cop intervened, but it was already too late. A lot of the money she gave, somebody saw it and called the cops. And I'm grateful. Everybody's grateful that they did to protect this woman. But she was already giving away her money when somebody called the cops and said, hey, there's something going on here with this woman. That's coming up next as well. If you have been scammed, or your parents have, or you've seen a scam, or you've resisted one that they try to do on you, all that's next. Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Okay, so talking about the European media ripping the Biden mental and physical apparent decline. Here's what the Italian headline reads. Long pauses, eyes closed, weak voice, Biden in new doubts about the health at the G7, at his health at the G7. The Sun in the UK says Daughtery Biden is the worst, quote, worst he's ever been, quote. Everyone is worried, say G7 insiders, as video shows him shuffling away. Ouchity, ouch, ouch, ouch. Oh my gosh, can I tell you what I just saw on the headline? This is so funny that it would happen, that I would look up and it would be there in the middle of what I'm discussing with you right now. The headline on CNN about, 3-4 minutes ago, as I got up, walked out of my studio, it said, quote, Trump meandering in business meeting. They're trying to make it like he's Joe Biden. Oh my gosh, I love this. Nobody's going to believe it. The guy goes on for like an hour or two, wherever, he has rallies for an hour or two. I mean, nobody thinks that the guy's meandering. It's just their way of trying to make him look like Joe Biden. My gosh, these people are crazy. Do you really think anybody sees that and believes it? Other than the left that disdains him. It's funny, isn't it? Isn't that funny? And then look at that's hysterical. I laughed out loud so loudly. My news friend down the hall at the newsroom said, what are you're so loud? What are you laughing at? I told her, she's like, So anyway, Trump meandering in a business meeting, says fake news CNN minutes ago. Now, this is from the Washington Post, which is insanely left, as we all know. Quote, Donald Trump, potential future oldest president. Look at this. Donald Trump, this is the top of the headline. Donald Trump, potential future oldest president, turns 78. Like, he's like, like he can't even walk. I'm sorry, this is hysterical. Oh, and then I'm having too much fun. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Our number to chime in on this is 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. If European media sees it, Joe Biden's issues with his mental and physical decline, why doesn't our media see it? Why do they say that Trump's got issues? And you know how they say, too, like, oh, he's misspeaking, he's saying things, he doesn't know, he's losing. Like, nobody thinks it's the same at all, like in any way, shape, or form, more than a normal candidate on the stump talking to everybody and everything and then messing up some words, but versus Biden, which is like, okay, and then, so if European media sees it, why does our media not see it? And do you think Biden's critics about his mental and physical conditions have a legit concern, or is this being blown out of proportion? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Oh, my gosh. Okay, maybe I can't give you play-by-play or real-time comments about the game. It's like against copyright laws. There's a good possibility. Are you watching are you not watching the game, but are you following the score there? Yeah, I mean, there's a good possibility that the Mavs are going to win. You don't think that's legit. You think Boston is throwing it, don't you? No? Now I'm thinking, I mean, how could they possibly be almost twice the points? Do you think as many people are watching this tonight that producer Gary, you're a lot more a sports guy than I am, right? Do you think that a lot of people are watching this? It's kind of like me. To me, it's anticlimactic. They're not going to win. What? Not a lot of people watched the first game of the series, so based on that? Wow. I thought it was supposed to be like insanely watched. I mean, they just signed they just made $1 billion in deals for 10 years, like NBC. What is it? Let me think. NBC, Amazon, and Paramount or something like, I don't know, like 3 or 4. Netflix, I think. I don't even know. Whatever. A couple of pay channels and then a couple of other, pay cable stuff or on-demand stuff. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. Yes. How dare you? You're wrong. You are wrong, sir. That's 2 demerits. 2 demerits. Okay. You have to work 2 holidays without getting holiday pay or holiday time off or whatever it is. Comp days. All right. Got it? On 2 unpaid holidays with no comp days. Or you're fired. Take your pick. You'll get nothing and you will like it. I had that somewhere here today. Where did it go? There we go.
You'll get nothing and like it.
That's what you'll get, nothing, and you're going to like getting nothing. Nothing. The Washington Post says Donald Trump, potential future oldest president, turns 78. As if he's like, don't you love that though, Donald Trump? Potential future oldest president. Like Joe Biden's 3 years older than him right now. He's going to be 4 years older than when he turns 81 or 82 or something in 6 months or 8 months, whatever it is. I don't know. Biden has faced more skepticism, the Post says, in the campaign from voters about his health and acuity, but Trump's septuagenarian status also has drawn notice from some voters and experts on aging. Really? Oh, there's a long list. There's like hundreds of aging experts. Oh, Biden's awesome. Trump bad. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, scams. This is big. This is big to me. Okay, first I want to tell you what was in the news today. You know how something's happening, like for me, it's my job to talk about issues that you and I face every day in our lives or whatever, that we care about or that make us laugh, cry, whatever, amuse us, entertain us, interest us. So in this regard, people getting scammed. And I'll start out with the news story. The news story comes out today from CBS 11. And what they say, this was in White Settlement, and a Good Samaritan, a young woman, and I want to give a big hat tip to this young woman. I think they name her, and I'm going to name her because she's a sweetheart. Mindy Jordan, a 38-year-old woman. Seriously, Mindy, you get a huge virtual hug from me downtown over here. Stay away. You don't want to be anywhere near the Mavs game. It's going to be crazy. But you get a huge hug from me and a huge hat tip. Mindy Jordan, 38-year-old, was at this gas station. She sees an elderly woman who is depositing money into a Bitcoin ATM machine. An elderly woman is on the phone or FaceTiming some guy, and she's at a Bitcoin ATM machine. She's putting money in, and this guy's telling her what to do. And she says, I have the bank on the phone. I'm in danger. She told the White Settlement Police when they showed up. So she called the White Settlement Police. This 38-year-old woman is at the gas station. She goes, what the heck is this elderly woman doing, putting money into a Bitcoin thing? She doesn't know what she's doing. Turns out the woman was being scammed. Turns out the woman was, they paid for, look at this. This is how, I'm telling you. And wait till you hear what's happening to me right now with people trying to scam me. They didn't scam me. But this is insane. I had to kind of double and triple check some stuff, which I'll share with you to warn you. And I want to hear from you. Have your parents been scammed? Have you been scammed? What have you done? What has happened? We had this happen in my personal family. My wife's father, unfortunately, was scammed multiple times. I'll tell you about that. But this woman's a Good Samaritan. She saw this and she called. And the plan was very nefarious. This wasn't the only time they were having to send money via Bitcoin, so it was untraceable, I'm sure. All that's coming up next. I want to hear from you, too, on twofold. Have you or somebody you know been scammed? And have you caught attempted scams like I did just this past couple days that's been going on? And what's your advice? And I'll give you mine, because I acted on mine with suspicion. And I'll tell you what I did. And what have you done? And what have you seen? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I'll tell you more about this story from White Settlement and the officer and this Good Samaritan and this woman who was scammed. All that next. Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. Scams. This woman was scammed scammed by thousands and thousands of dollars. An elderly woman. She was at a gas station in White Settlement. A sweetheart named 38-year-old Mindy Jordan saw her in the gas station with a man on the phone, on like speakerphone, on FaceTime. And she was clearly getting scammed. The woman said this is wrong, and she called the cops. Cops show up. She was in the middle of sending money. And the cop says, hey, ma'am, can I talk to this guy? And what a wonderful cop, what a wonderful woman to call. And they literally paid for a The scammers paid for an Uber to send her there, and then they were going to send her after that to another, like a convenience store, to do more Bitcoin, like exceeding all the maxes, to send more money through Bitcoin ATM or whatever it is to them, where you can't trace it, I'm sure, right? So she was depositing $40,000 into a Bitcoin ATM machine. And she thought it was Citibank, her bank, and she said, I have the bank on the phone. I'm in danger. The cop responded to the 911 call from this wonderful sweetheart woman that tipped him off. When he arrived, she already deposited $23,900 to the scammers. The officer asked to speak to her, which she responded to the alleged, and then she said, I want to speak to the, quote, Chase Bank representative who told her account was in danger. He then asked her to stop putting money in the ATM, says CBS 11. She handed him the cop the phone, and then the man repeatedly asked to speak to the woman, but the officer didn't oblige. She's like, no, you're going to talk to me. He was in uniform, so this is good. He says, all I could do is visualize my mom. The rideshare service picked her up, had her take her to the local Chase base to withdraw $40,000 in cash. That's what she did. Oh, this woman. I don't blame Chase, but wouldn't you think somebody would say, oh, what? I mean, you don't want to offend somebody too, right? You don't want to offend somebody because of their age and hurt their feelings or get mad and get in trouble. So I guess you just let it go if they're acting somewhat normal. Cop says, all I could do is visualize my mom in this case. I wish we could find the guy and place him behind bars for a very long time. He's probably going to do this to other people. We are extremely grateful for the citizen who recognized the dangers and contacted us, said White Settlement Police Chief Christopher Cook. It's sickening these suspects prey on the most vulnerable. Well, my grandma was, there was an attempted scam on her, and my deceased grandma, my awesome Polish grandma in Chicago, she was at a bank, and there was a scammer in line, and somebody stopped her, and she was starting to. That was when my dad and my uncle said, "That's it. We're going to pull Mom. We're going to put her somewhere because she can't get scammed on her own anymore." Let's go to Vicky in Fort Worth. My question is: Have you or somebody you know been scammed? Have you caught attempted scams? I have. There's one I'm in the middle of right now. They're trying to get me, and I fought them back nicely, and they're still calling. It's amazing, guys, what they have access to, what they're doing. And then your advice and mine. I'll give you mine too on what I did. Vicky in Fort Worth, you're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I just got scammed massively on Monday.
No, what happened?
I called the number on the back of my credit card to make a payment because, well, whatever. Yeah. But I called the number.
Which that's legit. Any number that you have on your card is going to be legit. And anything, like if you go online and don't do anything that anybody sends you, but you got to go online and pull up your bank. I'm sure you can pull up your bank account online, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you pull that up and you can see what it says, and you can call them there. Anyway, so go ahead. What happened?
Unfortunately, I called the number on the bank on the back of my credit card. I talked to them. They told me that I had fraud, and they wanted to switch me to a different account or a different person. And so when they switched me, I don't know. I mean, I used to work in IT. I know how scams work, or I thought.
Yeah,
I did,
sure. I mean, they're getting so good. Go ahead.
Yeah. So they switched me over, but I don't know if someone intercepted the call or they switched me over, unfortunately. And, it was Chase Amazon Prime card. So it's funny that you mentioned Chase before, but they switched me over and they wanted me to enter. And like I said, I was in IT, so they wanted me to enter. And it was amount of they showed me online $500, and they said, let's get it right back to you. It'll be faster this way. So it was a DOS command. If anybody knows PCs, that's how you work a PC behind the scenes. And it was a DOS command prompt. And as soon as I tried to enter 500, that went to 50,000.
Wait a minute. If you called on the back of your card, that is an official number. That's not a scam.
Yeah, I called, but somehow they interrupted that call.
Okay. Well, did you call Chase on your own and get this fixed yet?
I have not, but there's nothing on the Chase account or my bank account that reflects any of this. It was all online.
Well, if it's all not reflected on your account, then maybe it's all ruse and they're trying to get you to do something.
It was 100%.
So they never really took your money. They thought.
No, what I think is important for people to hear. I just lost $500, but I think what's important for people to hear is that they want these Apple cards, and I've read a little bit online about that since, and it's all a ruse to get you to buy Apple
that they can steal. Okay, but here's the thing. How did they even reach out to you? What was this all about? Did they call you on the phone? Did they send you something via email? How did you click on something? How would anybody that's a scammer know how to get all this from you?
No. I was on the phone trying to pay my bill.
Yeah, like you normally do, and somehow it was transferred to someone else. Maybe somebody at the company did a scam. This happened on Monday. There's no way I would let it go more than 2 hours or an hour before I'd call them right back.
I didn't realize. Okay. So,
anyway, I got to roll. But listen, call them back right now. Don't wait. Call them before you talk to me anymore. Okay? You'll be fine. I got to go. Thank you very much. I can't talk over commercials and news. Appreciate your call though. All right, we're going to take Vince in Hickory Creek coming up next. Plus your call. I haven't even told you about mine and how good they are. Oh, I'll tell you what I did, and this is how I think you can fix it. Not fix it, but stop it. That's coming up next in the Chris Crock Show, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Our parents, my father-in-law was scammed several times for thousands. We'll talk about all that, too, and your experiences.